I'd like to call this meeting to order. Could I get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Alvarez?
Here.
Councilmember Cabrera?
Here.
Councilmember Schultz? Here. Mayor Pro Tem Frida? Here. Mayor Titus?
Here.
You have a quorum.
Great. I'm going to switch things around a little bit. Mr. Figueroa, would you like to lead us in the flag salute?
Put your hands over your heart. Face the flag. Together. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Sue, give us some words of wisdom here. So that we may be inspired to do.
I came prepared. Words of wisdom, 1 Thessalonians. Be joyful, pray unceasingly, and give thanks for everything God has given you. Father, that's what we want to do tonight. Give thanks to you that we do have a budget, that we're able to pay our bills, that we've brought our people back to work, and that you continue to bless the city and bless the residents here. And I just thank you for the things you've done and what you're going to do in the future. And I just thank you again in Jesus' name. Amen.
On the agenda, anybody wishing to speak on items on the agenda? Seeing none, I will forego that section and go to new business, authorization to purchase playground equipment for Pioneer Park, Leeware Park, and the Helen Rosas Education Center.
Make the motion.
Second.
That's a motion to approve. Any discussion on this item? It's not on here. This is a special meeting, I don't think you did.
Things we're spending money.
Hmm?
Should have a roll call vote, right?
Yeah. None? Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Alvarez?
Yes.
Councilmember Cabrera?
Yes.
Councilmember Schultz?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Frida?
Yes.
Mayor Titus?
Absolutely.
Mayor and Council, an item was brought to, or full details were brought to the city's attention after the agenda had been posted, and that's the item in regards to an application that has a due date of February the 8th. At this time, requesting for the item to be put as an urgency. And once again, it's only because the application itself is due on February the 8th.
What is this?
To add to the council.
Right.
What is this about?
It's an item on, I believe on, a grant program
Oh, the grant.
To get money.
to help people refurbish their houses if they have problems with code violation.
Oh, like garage conversions and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. We have a motion. Do I have a second? We have a second. Roll call, please.
Did we have any backup on this?
Yes, ma'am, it's right there, I believe it was,
Councilmember Alvarez?
Yes.
Councilmember Cabrera?
Yes.
Councilmember Schultz?
Question mark. Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Frida?
Yes.
Mayor Titus?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, just for the record, this should be item number 4 on the agenda, so that we'll get to it after everything else is.
Okay. Said Mr. Brzezinski wants to.
Yes, Mayor and Council, at this time, there's a request also like to have the mid-year budget presentation prior to the project status. And Mr. Blazinski will be expounding on this. And needless to say, we're really proud to be able to present to you a mid-year budget.
Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council, tonight what we want to do is just give you a brief summary, since there's no reason to go beyond that point, related to the finances of the city after we've had a chance to review what we've done for the first 6 months of the year. The reason that we don't have to spend a lot of time on this is because the budget that you prudently passed last June 29th has basically been maintained, and we are going forward with a budget that's still a conservative but fiscally prudent budget in providing the services that you deemed necessary last June when you passed this budget originally. There are some minor changes that we need to go over, and I want to discuss those with you, and if you have any questions, we will also be able to discuss those. In the budget that we originally presented to you, there was a summary sheet that listed a summary by fund of all of the costs that were going to be incurred in the revenues. What I've shown here right now, what I want to discuss is the general fund. That's where the discretionary spending takes place for the city and also where most of the revenue comes in. Basically, we've had increases in revenues and in expenditures and in capital projects, and I will go over those now with you, what those changes were. But basically, the net effect of all this is that we've had a net increase in our estimated fund balance at the end of the year of $40,000, which is relatively minor, but it's holding within our budget. So, Ernesto, if you show the revenues. In June of last year, you approved a revenue budget of $6,842,000, and these adjustments that we've listed up here are adjustments to increase our revenues, except for the summer youth program, which is now going to be a year-round program, so we needed to take that budget out. However, we've increased the casino revenue estimate by $175,000 for the whole year. We got from the state money, a one-time gift from the state, or at least they tell you it was a gift of our money that we've been sending them of $44,000. We received some more money from the state that was specified to be spent on law enforcement equipment of $105,000. We had a carry forward of our lab, computer lab, which Ernesto is going to be discussing later this evening, of $68,000. The building permit increase, we've had a lot of building permit activity within the city, including all the various fees. And in effect, what's happened is we're going to receive $45,000 more than what we originally estimated, so I put that up there. And then in some of our miscellaneous budget items, we have parking fees and some various other ones. We've collected more than we actually budgeted, but we don't know if we'll collect any more, so I've just put in the actual amount we've collected above what our original budget was, which is $56,000. So that's a total increase in our revenues to the city of $400,000, and so our revised revenue budget will then be $7,200,000. Okay, we can go to the expenditures. On expenditures, you approved a budget of $5,500,000. We've had increased engineering costs of $30,000, and the engineering cost budget's being increased specifically because we've incurred more costs related to the building that goes on. And if you remember, we just increased the budget for the building fees of $45,000, so these costs are being covered by the additional revenues that we've received. We had an increase in insurance premiums. As you know, we're a member of the Southern California Joint Powers Insurance Authority. They are the ones who dictate what our premiums are. We have no choice in what the premium rates are. The only thing that can happen is that these premiums can be reduced if we have better history down the road. The biggest increase was a $48,000 increase related to earthquake insurance and property damage insurance. They had to change carriers, and every city in the JPIA had an increase in those costs. We have an increase in legal fees of $30,000 for the year. John will be discussing more what legal activities we've had during the year, but I think that next year we're going to see that those fees will be coming down because we are basically finished with all our litigation. We've had an increase in the budget for the utilities. As you are all aware, the electricity costs are going up, and so we put an item in the budget to increase our utility costs because we know those will be going up. And then you had previously approved increases of $45,500 in human resources for a total increase of revenue, of expenditures of $190,500. So our revised expenditure budget is $5,700,000. We'll now discuss the capital projects. We put a budget in there for the public safety equipment program. That's the same money that we received from the state. If you'll remember, we had a revenue, and the same with the computer lab, so we've increased our capital projects budget by $173,000 now to make that a total of $689,000. And that totals out to please. It's not really easy to see, but down at the bottom, you'll see a net increase in revenues to expenditures of $40,000 for the whole year. So basically, we're holding to with what our spending plan was, which was a break even. We're spending what we're taking in, but we're not spending more than we're taking in. I want to emphasize, however, that we are maintaining the reserve that was required under your fiscal policy. This is included in this budget under debt service. And we will be putting away $500,000 for the rainy day and in case of contingencies should things not always go as well as planned. And that is required by your fiscal policy. That's why we put that away. Okay.
Is it already put away?
Actually, what happens is it incrementally comes in throughout the year, and to be honest with you, most of the money that will be coming in for that will be coming in near the end because it's a repayment from the redevelopment agency, and we draw that money once a year from the property taxes that are held by the fiscal agent.
Expect an increase in ERAF?
No, I think it's going to decrease next year because this year the governor passed a one for $44,000 that we received $44,000, and I think next year they were talking that we may only get $20,000. They're already starting taking back their money. And since the money, and we're going to talk a little bit, Mr. Mayor, in a few minutes about the coming budget and the economic uncertainties, and one of the problems that we're going to be dealing with will be the state, I think, and I'll discuss that in further detail. Okay, let's go to the overall budget now. And now in front of you, and there's copies of these sheets that I left out at the front desk before this meeting started, and the council has copies of it. This is a summary of our total revised budget for the mid-year for all of the funds that the city has. There are only two other funds that we changed the budget on. One was gas tax and one was Proposition C. So we'll show you the gas tax one right now. And what we've done is we received money from the state called traffic congestion relief revenue. And what this is money that the state has designated that we can use to improve our streets. We haven't had per se something come before the council as to exactly how you want to spend it, but it specifically has to be spent on streets and so forth. And so we put it in the gas tax budget. And then we've got traffic congestion projects of $143,000 that we're increasing. There was another project that took place that we put some money into that didn't get shown on the budget last time. So that even though it shows a decrease in revenues to expenditures, the gas tax, we have a fund balance of money there that we're using so that'll cover these expenditures. So in gas tax, all that money is, of course, designated purely to be spent on our streets and stuff. And if you remember, part of what we did this year, and as part of what we used Prop C money for as well, as we'll be discussing, was we did resurface Norwalk Boulevard and parts of Civic Center Drive. Okay, can we have Fund 7? Thank you. And here's Fund 7. What we did is, you'll remember we came before you to put this in the budget. We had forgotten to put it in for the first time, and it's the street paving related to the Norwalk and stuff, and that $257,000 was money that we got through a grant from the state. The $348,000 includes $90,000 that was used of Prop C money for the repaving, and the rest was reimbursed from the state. So we had a decrease, but that decrease of $91,000 is a use of funds, and we've had some money related to Prop C in its fund balance. We had $150,000 at the beginning of the year, so we've just used some of that down to improve the facilities within the city. So that is a general recap. I think we had one more recap sheet there. And if you'll notice, we're taking in, we're taking in overall for the city $13 million, and we're basically spending what we're taking in. We're actually down about $100,000, and that's because of those improvement projects we were doing on the streets. The last item that I want to discuss, thank you, is the financial factors to consider, which we'll be considering next year's budget and things to think about at the current time. One of the things that's coming up for the city is that we have a debt service that kicks in starting September 1st of 2001, and it's going to be costing us approximately $125,000 a month. Our sales tax revenues are going to decrease with the home base closing, Home base represents 19% of our sales tax revenue. Hopefully, some of the other businesses' sales will be picking up so that we won't have a total loss that way. To be honest with you, some of our sales tax revenue will be increasing because the casino pays sales tax, and as their volume has gone up, our sales tax from them has gone up because of all the food and beverages they sell over there are sales taxed. Next year, I expect we'll have reduced building and engineering fees and related costs because I don't expect that we're going to have as much construction as is taking place this year in the plan permits. I could be wrong, but that's just my gut feel right now. We are looking at higher energy costs next year for electricity and for fuel. People are projecting that OPEC is going to cut the supply, so we would think that gasoline costs will be going up. And we know that Edison is asking for rate increases like crazy right now. How much, we'll know better after the state legislature gets done with us. We're expecting related litigation costs because I think we've settled most of the stuff related to what was pending in the past, and every now and then, of course, you'll get a claim, but I don't think they'll be too serious unless something comes totally out of surprise, and we don't want to anticipate litigation, that's for sure. We have labor negotiations going on, and what that settlement is has not been factored in. It'll be factored in next year in the budget. We then have one of the things we have to consider, and one of the things we're working on is we're putting in a phone system now, but we probably have to update a lot of the city's informational systems, and that's a cost to be considered. There's a potential downturn in the economy, and today, as I was looking through the newspaper and stuff, and then I saw on the internet on my cover page before I went to check my email, they were indicating that Amazon.com just cut 1,300 more employees. So we're seeing a lot of cuts in employees. Chrysler is planning on dropping 20,000 employees. So it appears that there truly is an economic downturn coming, and how that's going to affect the city, I think relatively minor compared to most cities because we're not so dependent on sales tax. And if I wanted to speculate, I would speculate that it might actually help the casino because not as many people will be wanting to drive to Las Vegas and spend money going out of town. They'll stay in town to do their gambling. But that's speculation purely on my part. The last item is the California state revenue takeaways. This is something that's sitting out there constantly. One of the things is they had a big reserve well, and so that's how they were giving us the ERAF money you were talking about. Well, they're spending a lot of their reserve buying electricity right now to support the utilities, and so I don't know what that's going to do to their budgetary situation that's up in the state right now in Sacramento. I just can't believe it's going to be positive to the cities. They haven't been too positive to the cities in the past, and there's no track record to indicate they're going in a different direction. So I'm open to any questions that you may have, but that's the state of the city right now, and I think it's financially, our bills are being paid on a current basis. We have a little bit of money in the bank, but we're being prudent, and that's exactly what I think this council has wanted to do in their fiscal policy.
I know it's your role to be the preacher of gloom and doom.
Did I say
On
gloom and doom
things,
there? I wasn't gloom and doom.
in things to consider.
You're
Have you
just covering
considered-
all the bases, right?
Yeah, have you considered any of the positive things?
Well, one of the things that we, the biggest positive that we can have, and the only, and it's just more than anything else, it's an unknown. We did put a little bit of an increase in the casino revenue budget at mid-year, and if the casino, the problem I have with the casino revenue right now is, and it's only because I like to see a trend going on. For 3 months before December, the revenue was basically flat. We received within $2,000 for 3 straight months. Then we had a spike in December. Now, if January shows another spike or continues at that higher rate, then my viewpoint on the casino revenue will change. But at this point, I had 1 month, and I don't know since I don't know that much about casinos, but I'm told that December is normally a good month because it's the holidays and stuff. So, yeah, I would say, yeah, that's a good situation, that there's, and that's, let's face it, that's 57% of our revenues, casino revenue, and as it goes up, it's going to become a greater and greater part. So, I pray every day. I check over there and hope every table's filled every day, and that they build more tables and they fill them. So, I mean, that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
Just like everybody else, I think we're all part business owners, whether it's in a passive way or not with the casino.
Yeah. Well, I see on the plus side, the revenue from the casino will increase. By September 2001, which is the beginning of the offset debt that we will pay, it is going to be estimated that our city will take in about $428,000 a month. That's a lot of money. That equals $5.136 million a year. So that is going to be an enormous help to help pay off that debt like we had planned. Food for Less will bring some money, some tax money in. Not everything is non-taxable at Food for Less. And since it's a high-volume store, it's certainly going to bring in more sales tax than let's say, Plowboys. And home base, on the subject of home base, I had heard, and I don't have it as a definite, but I had heard that there is going to be a upcoming lease on that property. I don't expect the home base facility to sit dormant for a year. I think that's a viable piece of real estate that has some potential. So whether we lose all that $19,000 in the way of home-based tax money, 19% of the home-based tax money is still speculative. The youth employment program that you knocked out, summer youth employment program is no more because the Joint
Right. now you
Training
mentioned
Partnership Act is no more, okay? Instead, we have the Workforce Investment Act, who instead of having a summer youth employment program has a year-round youth training program, which means that'll bring money back into the city, probably along the same levels as the SYEP. So those items we need to consider also. It's the positive part. And I appreciate your comments about, being frugal, and that's why we are frugal. And we are on line to our fiscal policy, and that's to actually save $500,000, which is unheard of for this city. Probably just to have a fiscal policy is unheard of for this city. We'd never had one before. And in the last 2 years, I think we found ourselves in a different realm of city government. So what you're seeing here is a breaking new frontier in city government, and that's to have an actual handle on the finances, which is one of my biggest concerns with the city. We had a hard time just getting any financial information, let alone seeing it on an overhead projector and putting it out on cable prior to me taking office. So there's a lot of positiveness going on here, and I think people should take heart in this city. The city has changed immensely, and I think it's gone the right way. I think it's really made some real headway in the way it not only handles its money, but how it provides information to the public, and we're still striving to do more. So if anybody else has any other comments about what Mr. Blazinski has said,
Well,
have at it.
I agree with Mr. Blazinski. I think you have to be kind of a future orientation. In other words, with all the things that was presented to us, it seems like we lose some, we gain some. At the same time, I've always requested in the past, as you know, Mr. Blazinski, to make sure we put enough money in reserves for a rainy day. I've been pushing that, since I started. And the thing is we also have other factors. The properties that were vacant, those lots that were vacant, that's going to bring in additional income because of the property tax increase on those that we were not getting before. We also have to consider what we lose in percentage and see what we can do to have Mr. Lopez maybe send something out to the other cities and see what's been proposed there to see what we can fill into that home-based site to bring in similar to or more than what we were getting before. And also to be fiscally responsible, be financially responsible to make sure that we don't get $1, spend $1.50. We have to make sure that if we get $1, we have to make sense of that and save about a 5% or 10% of that to make sure that we have enough, or we're not in a situation where later on it says, oh, what did we do? We always have to have enough in reserves to make sure that you're not going to be hurting at the end. You're right, Chaitis, in the past, I don't think that was planned out like a 10-year period, but sometimes you may look bad, and 10 years later, things look good. 10 years ago, I don't think things were really that good. I looked at some requests or actually some reports that were done by Conrad and Associates where they said, hey, you got to be careful how you're spending your money. And I don't think there was much attention that was paid to that. And I think that's what happened to us in the past 2 years. So, the thing is it takes a number of years to get to where you're at, but it also takes a number of years to get healthy again. And I appreciated, Mr. Blasinski, that you were actually saying, hey, I'm the one that actually is going to, not look good or look bad, but tell you good news or bad news. And we don't just want to hear good news. We want to hear bad news. We want to hear reality. We want to make sure that our residents get the full scoop. And I like to be optimistic, and we have to work together to be optimistic. We have to work together to make sure we get enough projects to bring money into this community that's going to provide services for our residents.
I think you've done a good job, Mike.
Thank you.
We have come a long ways in 2 years. I don't care what anyone says. I mean, this little city's on the move, and we're gonna make a name for ourselves. It can only get better.
Mayor and Council, one of the things, Mayor, you asked if there's anything of positive nature. I think the most significant positive is the fact that because of the casino and hopes also because of Food for Less and other businesses, AutoZone, new jobs have been created, jobs that are being fulfilled by a number of our own residents. So that to me is very positive.
And we want to thank you, Mr. Lopez. Really, I think without the money that you have put together from the grants that you've received from the state, we'd back like in the past. So you've done a tremendous job, and I think you're the one that deserves a lot of credit with this. A lot of money that's been brought in, computer lab, and actually projects that are in the community to repurpose our things has been because you, together with your staff, Joe and everybody else, Ernesto, and all the heads departments have put themselves together towards a positive forethought, towards a positive future.
Yeah, and it helps having a great attorney too and a finance guy that really knows his numbers.
Well, Mayor and Council, really, as always, the credit goes to you all, and also you've got a great staff here. You really do. And now that you mentioned as far as the computer, I'd like to, unless there are any other questions for Mr. Blazinski, I'd like to proceed with the, I'd like to give you not only a project status, but sometimes we feel that some of the services that we're providing on a daily basis, a number of people don't know about it, and it's one of the best kept secrets in the area, and so they'll be expounding on that also. So if I may, could I proceed with the?
Sure.
Okay.
Right there?
Okay. At this time, I'd like to call on Maria, and she'll be doing this is in regards to the city clerk's department. There's a rumor that there's an election coming up. So, Maria, if you would, please.
Thank you. Honorable Mayor and council members, the City Clerk's Department is presenting you a brief project status regarding daily tasks ongoing and pending. And of course, regarding the election, we have highlights, deadlines, equipment, and precinct information. Okay, these are the pending minutes for the year 2000 and the 2001. As you can see, it's only a few that we have to work on, and with the help of Lucy and Rosie, we're going to get there, and most likely our goal is to present them to you for approval no later than the 13th of March, of course, right after the election. Okay, this is only an election highlights, the dates that everybody should remember. Those dates, like the request for absentee ballots from voters, February the 5th through the 27th. The poll worker training, we have at 2 o'clock on the 8th to make sure that everything goes fine and let them know exactly what they need to do. On the 13th, we have the mail sample ballots and polling places notices. Just a reminder that on the 19th of February is the last date to register to vote. And of course, the 6th of March, that's the election day, the biggest day for this year.
Maria, I have one question on it because it says in here, new and improved election equipment.
Yes.
Are we going to have a problem with the machines as we always had in the past, or is that going to be a thing of the past?
Okay, the new one is right here,
Okay.
and this is the one that we're going to use. for all the precincts.
Oh, that's not Florida's, is it?
Okay, you want to take a look at it?
I'm talking about the gentleman that does our
Martin and Chapman.
Martin and Chapman.
Yes, Martin and Chapman. And today we had a little training regarding the software, which is easy. Ernesto? Okay, like I was talking about this new machine, well, I guess some of the people have seen this one. And this is the one we're going to use, of course. And hopefully that we won't have any problems like the presidential election or anything like that. So it's going to be a lot easier to use, no more mistakes. And of course, the absentee ballots, they're going to be the same as usual, the regular ones, the ones that you have to punch the little hole, make sure that it's all the way in. Okay? And the deadlines, of course, for all the things that we need to do, make sure that we meet the deadlines for everything. Yeah. Okay, do you want me to read all the dates? No?
That'll be made available at the,
Yes,
at the front.
anytime. Yes, we will have that one for anybody that needs the information. Okay, and that's the map for the precincts that we have. We didn't have to put 2 in 1 or 3 in 1 area, so we have, the newest one is the one over the adult school. That would be number 6, room number 6. And if anybody that belongs to precinct 2 or used to go to the Ferris Ferry Junior High, they can always call us and let us, we will let them know where they're supposed to go if they have any problems.
How do they go in order, Maria, by colors and down? Is it 1, 2, 3, and 4?
Correct.
Okay,
Let me
so
show you the
1
map.
is the top, 2, 3 on the left or the right?
Biggest one's 2.
Okay, 1 is the top one, 2 is the blue one, 3 is the purple, 4 gray, and we go like that until we have the set.
So if it's
I'll give you a
7
copy of the map if you want me to. Yeah, I'll provide you with that one. Next.
A question. Has anyone actually seen a ballot yet?
No, they're not
Just
ready yet.
wondering.
No. We have just the proof of the one that they sent and make sure that all the wording is correct, so it's been going back and forth until everything is done properly.
Perfect.
Yes.
We'll see it.
We have to check all the mistakes, yes, but we don't want any mistakes, any of those. Okay, the records, of course, is the filing system. That's an ongoing or daily tasks, agendas, FPPC forms, the city councils, the mail, of course, invitations or scheduling invitations, anything that has to do with all of you. Any other thing?
No.
You sure?
Mayor and Council,
Thank
couple
you very
items.
much.
Thank you, Maria. Couple items is that
Very
we welcome you all and the public by all means to please come and see Lucy and Maria in regards to any questions pertaining to the upcoming election. In fact, we'll probably put that unit out there in front for a while, so in case people want to come by and view it. We don't anticipate any presidential election challenges, but everybody's trying to really get a good check and balance on all this, and the two ladies have done an outstanding job in order to proceed with this upcoming election. It calls for a number of volunteers, and we do have quite a few out there, thank God. The next individual, and also, if I may add before, these items that you're going to be seeing up here on this PowerPoint, first of all, to the best of my knowledge, this is the first time the city has ever done a PowerPoint presentation. It's our hopes to do these on an ongoing basis from now on instead of slides. But the other thing is that we plan to put a number of these items on our cable and therefore people can view some of the projects that the city has been working, is working, and will be working on. At this time, I'd like to call on Mr. Colombo.
Yes, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. We have a few slides here that will represent the various projects that we've been working on in the past fiscal year. Some of these projects actually are carryovers from the prior years and have been completed this fiscal year, as well as there are projects that may have initiated this year, won't be completed till next year. Some of the dates that I will be giving you are approximate dates, and at certain times there will be unforeseen circumstances that projects cannot be completed, especially when you're dealing with development projects. And if you have any questions during the presentation, please feel free to ask. Some of the projects that we have completed this year is the St. Peter Chanel Church, the AutoZone project, Nora Boulevard resurfacing project, the Civic Center resurfacing project Phase 1, and the Hawaiian Gardens Casino DDA.
Are you sure about that bottom one?
Well, I'll get into the detail when I get to the agency project.
Big Chanel spelled with one M.
The St. Peter Chanel is a Catholic church. I consider that one of the masterpieces of the city that they have completed here. It's a 14,000 square foot building print, and this project was approved in 1998 and has been completed in August of 2000. It's located at 214th Street and Elaine Avenue. The next project was a redevelopment agency project where the agency had acquired several parcels, and there were dilapidated structures there, and they were demolished. The property was sold to AutoZone, and they now have built a brand new 5,000 square foot auto parts store. The next project is the Nora Boulevard resurfacing project. This basically, we re-asphalted the entire Norwalk Boulevard north of Carson, between Carson and Centralia. This was used, the funds used for this project was basically the Prop C funds. The other project is the Civic Center resurfacing project, Phase 1. As you can see, only part of that was completed because we didn't have enough funds to complete the entire roadway. But the project is, for this segment, is completed. The next project that has been completed for over a year now is the Hawaiian Gardens Casino. This is another masterpiece that we have built in the city. The project is not exactly complete. There is an outstanding project, which is the Hawaiian Gardens, which is the storm drain project, which we are currently in the design stage, and we'll be going out to bid. There is also an expansion coming along the way that's currently being reviewed. These are some of the current pending projects that we have initiated. This is the Dead End Street project. This has been around for quite some time. It is still in the design phase, and we're still currently trying to identify the sources for this enormous project. This is a very expensive project, but yet it will be a major attraction in that area of the city. This will basically entail acquiring several dilapidated structures and extending 226th Street to Pioneer Boulevard, eliminating, therefore, all the dead-end streets. This is a 20-unit condominium project, also known as the Molina Property. Recently, the council had approved an extension, and they have actually started now grading the property, so the project has actually started. This is the Flores DDA project. It's been around for quite some time, but the homes are being built. Two of them have recently closed escrow. Another one is pending, and Mr. Flores still has two more properties that need to be built. They're located on Clarkdale, actually Coretta. The Jetta Square Innovation Project is a new project. This is basically a project that's going to entail demolishing Mike's Restaurant along with the liquor store at the end, and Save-On will be relocated in there. The project is still in the plan check mode. as well as the property owners are still negotiating the tenant leases with the existing tenants. The One Avenue drilling project, if you recall, this project here was proposed by the Southern California Water Company, where they had basically reactivated this well. They have received their approvals from the county, and they have now pulled permits to start construction of all the on-site improvements. The Hawaiian Gardens Casino Storm Drain Project, that has also been approved by actually it is before the county right now for acceptance, and the hydrology study has been approved, and within the next 30 days, plans and specs will be coming forward here for your approval. The Clarkdale Park expansion is a new project. What we anticipate doing here is trying to expand the park size by acquiring some of the neighboring properties using grant funds from the Trust for Public Land, which is a national conservation organization, which they will basically acquire the property, hold the title, and then get reimbursed from the grant fund. So this is still in the design stage. A master plan will be required, and we will attempt to renovate the entire project, as well as expand the size of this park by double its size. Flores DDA project number 2. Recently, the redevelopment agency authorized staff to prepare a disposition and development agreement for one of the parcels located on 223rd and Violeta. The Las Brisas DDA is another project approved by the redevelopment agency. This is actually split into 2 project sites, one on 214th Street and Norwalk, and the other on Hawaiian Avenue. The project is still in plan check by the city engineer's office, as well as the city building department. The project will yield a total of 16 brand-new single-family dwelling units. Food for Less is near to completion. Estimated time is about 2 months. Very shortly, they will be coming forward with a new conditional use permit for a sign master program. Elks Club, we're very familiar with. That was recently approved by the city council and the redevelopment agency for a recreational facility to be used by the Elks Lodge. The property was sold to Robert Stevens for $70,000. The concession stand re-roof project, we plan on re-roofing 2 concession stands. One of them located at Ferris Fetty and the other one located at Ferguson. We anticipate project completion within the next 2 weeks. The project has been awarded to Vance and Associates Roofing. Project costs approximately $10,000.
Both of them?
Yes,
Both projects, 10,000?
yes, just under 10. The One Avenue resurfacing project, it's a new project that's been identified by Public Works. This is a collector road that is used by the mass transit system, and as you can see there in the lower right-hand corner, the asphalt's starting to become brittle, and so we're going to replace the asphalt on this entire segment between Civic Center and Carson Street. Funds that are being identified will come from the Traffic Congestion Relief Fund and possibly Prop C. This is Civic Center Drive resurfacing project phase 2. That'll complete this segment of Civic Center. Funds that are being identified for this include the Traffic Congestion Relief Fund, as well as additional Prop C if they can be found. The City Hall expansion project is another big project that we're working on. It involves the construction of a brand new library, which is a relocation from the existing site. This is a photo of the part of the parking lot between the administration building and recreation department, and the other side of the fence is 2 tennis courts, and they're not really being utilized, so we've identified this site as a potential location. The project involves a new library, sheriff station, and the expansion of, or adding a second story over the existing gymnasium room in the recreation department. The LED grant application, we still haven't heard yet, but this was a project recently approved by the city council where it would be replacing incandescent bulbs with LED light emitting diodes. If we're able to replace all these bulbs, there would be a cost savings to the city of approximately $16,000. The zoning code update, that's been around for some time. The project cost on that is approximately $90,000. That is one of the projects that we're required to do in order to bring the zoning ordinance to be in compliance with the general plan. We anticipate that project lasting approximately about a year. The Helen Rosas ADA doors, that is a project that's being funded by the Community Development Block Grant Fund, and we anticipate project cost of about $15,000. Basically, we will have automatic doors that will be ADA accessible. The next project is the racquetball court in the recreation department. We're going to attempt to make one of those courts ADA accessible by using CDBG monies. Residential rehabs, that's basically ongoing. We do several of those. We do single families and mobile homes, and it's presently only for owner-occupied dwelling units. The neighborhood block cleanup program we're all familiar with. The council recently had modified the project makeup of this by converting the dump site from the city yard to bringing the program in front of the actual homes. We have a budget amount of $72,000. We had a cleanup on January 20th, I believe it was, which was a success, and our next cleanup will be scheduled for February 17th. Some of the other ongoing projects.
What's the area of February 17th?
I believe that one is below 221st. It'll cover the other half of the Dead End Street project. I'm not sure the exact parameter of the street, but it's below 221st Street, covering the other segment of the
Same
dead ends.
general area,
Yeah.
though, huh?
The City Hall re-roof project, that's currently underway. It's in the design stage. We will have to go out to bid for that. That basically will entail re-asphalting the entire roof with asphalt or tar and then gravel. That project is estimated to cost approximately $80,000. It is currently budgeted, and hopefully we'll have some plans and specs before you so you can approve. The code enforcement grant application that was recently approved by the City Council for $240,000. That basically will assist and augment existing activities in the code enforcement department for planning and building department. The garage conversion grant application that we'll discuss a little bit later on, but that is a grant that we will be trying to seek, or actually it's more of a loan, for $500,000. The subdivision code also needs some updating. That is being handled in-house. We will be basically creating some new applications and new handouts and trying to make the code a little bit user-friendly. The radar survey is required to be done in the city by next year. That is usually done by an engineering firm in order to issue citations in the city when they use radar. Traffic counts also need to be updated. The last counts were done in 1993. There are 33 locations in the city that will need new traffic counts. That basically completes the presentation from the Community Development Department.
Does anyone have any questions of Joe or? Okay.
I do. I just have one, and Mr. Colombo, if I'd like to ask you, like on Juan Street, we're gonna resurface that street, and do they engineer that street different than the other street because of the buses that go through there? 'Cause they
may have a thicker layer of asphalt.
because those streets really get beat up because of the buses.
They'll have to cold mill it and put in a very thick layer of asphalt.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Joe. One of the things that you're going to see, and I'm sure you already are seeing, is that it just re-emphasizes something I've related to my staff some time ago, excluding the mayor and the council, of course. As far as I'm concerned, there's no one above or below anybody at City Hall, and with the city administrator. Yeah, you need every component. Everybody has a specialty, but it's a matter of working with each other. So it's just great. I mean, when you see these type of activities going on, and it's exciting. It really is. And then when you're able to report to your elected body that a number of the lawsuits that this city was involved with have been cleaned up, wiped out, done away by John and his staff, but mainly, of course, because Mr. Kavanaugh taking the, the wheel? At this time, I'd like to call on John in regards to, just to give us a summary. As we all know, because of various reasons, there were a number of lawsuits against the agency or the city, and a number of them have been addressed and paid in full, thank God. And John, if you would, please.
Thank you, Tony. Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, I just want to go through a small report on what has occurred in essentially two years, maybe even 2 years and a couple months. And if you recall, just about 2.5 years ago, this city was threatened with existing litigation and judgments, which you all truly believed and in fact could have been actually threatening the very financial existence of the city of Hawaiian Gardens. And it was at that time that this council adopted a number of policies which directed the city attorney to deal with these with both existing litigation and pending or potential litigation in a very proactive manner. And we did that, and what I'd like to do is go over some of these issues, some of the status of some of the litigation, which through your policy, we've been able to reduce our exposure to that litigation that we had. And in those cases where we were going to fight, we fought, and in many of those cases we won. So it is because of your policy, it's because of your direction that we've been able to deal with this. And I'm here to say right now that we are now very, very viable financially because we've gotten rid of most, if not all, this litigation in that period of time. As you all know, the biggest areas that we were faced with was the agency's litigations involving the site where the casino is right now. And of course, I'm referring to a number of the inverse condemnation claims that were filed against the agency for that site. And that included the Plowboys, Lakewood Suzuki, and a number of other cases that came to being. And they got judgments against the agency at the time, and whether rightly or wrongly, it happened. And what was facing the agency at the time was just not the judgment itself, but the insurmountable interest payments that were accruing on a daily basis. You directed the city attorney's office to deal with those and try to reduce our exposure of the amount paid and then get these off the books. And if you recall, too, this council, or the agency, made a commitment publicly that in those areas that the agency owned property, we would sell that property, and all the proceeds of the property were to be used to pay off those judgments. And I'm here to say that was very successful and a very good policy, because that was a major contribution to paying off those judgments. For example, on the, you recall the Lakewood Suzuki case, we did have a judgment that was against the city in the tune of over $1.2 million. Part of the Lakewood Suzuki matter was paid off through the sale of real property and also through some of the bond proceeds that this council gave. And the agency made all those payments. The judgment has been paid in full, and the matter has been closed. So we're paid off with Lakewood Suzuki. Of course, Lakewood Suzuki turned around and filed an action against the agency for as far for basically attorney's fees that they were trying to collect. We did go to court on that, and we did defeat that motion. Basically, they were trying to collect attorney's fees and trying to collect the judgment. So it was kind of a double standard. We took the position that the agency was not responsible for that. We did win that judgment, and the plaintiffs are now trying to go on appeal on that, but we feel confident we can beat them on that as well. There was a recent case of Bartha's Donuts, which you recall was also on that site. Bartha's Donuts filed an action, actually two actions. They filed an action for inverse condemnation and pre-condemnation damages arising of the responsibility that the agency had toward them. We went to court, and we were able to show that the agency, in fact, had no legal obligations to relocate that donut shop, and we defeated them in court on that issue. They turned around and filed another writ of mandate action seeking relocation damages, saying that the agency, because this was a redevelopment project area, the agency was responsible for relocation to the location where they're currently out right now. We were successful in also defeating that writ of mandate action. In fact, we just got a decision on January 19th where the trial court ruled in favor of the agency and basically ruled that the agency had no legal obligation to pay the damages, which were in excess of $78,000. So we were successful on that as well. Remember, as you recall, By-Right Meat Company, which was a sublessee of Plowboys. They also filed inverse condemnation action against the agency. There was a judgment in the amount of $955,000. Again, part of the policy the agency had was to pay out part of that debt through sales of real property, which we did, and a combination of other proceeds. And I'm here to say that that judgment has been satisfied in full, and the matter has been closed. We also got another action that was filed by By-Right. It was a civil rights action, essentially. They alleged that the redevelopment agency violated their civil rights. We took on that action because the agency felt that was not a valid litigation claim, and we decided to fight that, and we did win that in court. So, and in fact, the California Supreme Court denied the plaintiff's petition as well, so they can't appeal anymore. So that issue's been closed. Plowboys, of course, was a big judgment, a big hit against the agency. We did have a $2.3 million judgment. Actually, it was more in different ways, and we were able to reduce it as much as we could in light of the circumstances. And again, that judgment has been paid in full, and that matter has now been closed. There was the case called Ashborne Electric Company versus the City of Hawaiian Gardens Redevelopment Agency. This was actually a contractor that brought an action against the agency as a result of the casino contract, and they decided to try to bring the agency in to hold us liable for some breach. You directed the city attorney's office to fight that. We did, in fact, fight that as a demur, and that case has been thrown out of court. And so we have been successful with that, and that matter has now been closed. There's been a number of other cases. One was LaSalle National Bank versus City of Hawaiian Gardens. That was a breach of lease agreement. It was a $250,000 claim that probably would have been awarded against the city. You directed the city attorney's office to work with them rather than spending a lot of money to fight it. And we, in fact, settled the case for $120,000, which was substantially less than what they were claiming for. So we were very happy about that. And of course, a number of other issues came up, and I think all in all the judgments have been paid in full. We now are in a position to head off as much litigation. We're hopeful that there will not be the litigation that we've had before. And as Mike indicated, we're now on the downswing with this, and now we're in control of our litigation costs as a result of your policies. And so I think next year, as Mike has indicated, we're going to be hopefully experiencing a lot less action. So you did a good job, and we all did a great job in trying to get this through.
You sure did a good job, John.
Real good
Give you
job.
a gold star.
It was all of us, it really was, and it was your policies, so.
That was great. Okay, just real quickly, if I could, I just wanted to also talk a little bit on something that I just came to mind concerning the budget and some of the negative sides and positive sides about the budget. Back on the positive side, I just wanted to inform the public that the city's now entertaining a lease agreement with the developer of the casino to put up a sign that would attract more business, of course, to the casino on our property. That would equate to probably a possible $350,000 signing bonus and an $800,000 contract total for the next 10 years. So that is one item I want you to know about. Okay. The other item I want you to know about is that we are starting to pay some attention, getting our city engineer to go look at the drain problem at the concession stands and the ball fields over at Ferguson Elementary School. I certainly have reviewed those lease agreements between ABC School District and the City of Hawaiian Gardens on the lease, and the school district is basically, I believe, is responsible for the fields, and of course we're supposed to be responsible for the facilities. Of course, we're always responsible for the streets. So I think that a lot of that ties in over there at that parking lot. So we're going to try to endeavor to try to rectify that situation. And I don't think it's going to be that costly. I think, edge draining, I know a lot of people don't know what that is, but the edge draining is not that costly, and maybe we can find a way to solve that problem for the public. As for the legal end of things, I'm pretty proud about what's happened in the last couple of years legally. We've overcome a lot of hurdles that we looked at before as insurmountable. However, with some prudent work and some good diligence by our city attorney, I think we've come a long way, and we're on the road to becoming a city who is going to start being one of the best cities in California. So we want to see that continue, and I want to thank the city attorney for all his diligence, his hard work.
Okay, at this time, Mayor and Council, I'd like to call upon, as you can see, Human Services Department. If you see along the way that maybe there's an error made, it's once again, this is our first time.
They're only human.
And by the way, for those who wish, being that this PowerPoint presentation is on a CD, we'll be more than glad to make copies of this for your own personal in regards to all this data, and we'll put it on a CD. Irving.
Yes, sir. Honorable Mayor and Council, following is the presentation on our Human Services Department and the current activities that we already have. And I just want to bring you to attention that this activity is only to the end of this fiscal year. We have other programs that we already are planning, but they're going to be budgeted for the next fiscal year. So please feel free to ask me any questions. If you have something come up and you need to be clarified, I'll be glad to explain it to you. In the areas of youth sports, we have several sports programs that we haven't had in the last 2 years, and some are flag football, and which I'm proud to say that this past November, one of our division groups took second place in the SMAF and SEMA tournament. And for your information, SEMA stands for Southeast Municipal Athletic Association, and SMAF is the Southern California Municipal Athletic Association, which includes cities all the way from Bakersfield to San Diego. So our kids did outstanding in that program. We also have girls volleyball. Basketball is being implemented right now. Next month, we're going to start recruiting for track and field. And early in April, we're going to start recruiting for youth baseball. In the area of mini sport, we have soccer, t-ball, flag football, and basketball. Last summer, we did for the first time in 4 years, the youth baseball. And we are so proud to say, that with your support, we were able to have 3 divisions. And there were T-ball, minors, and mayors. And both of these divisions had 4 teams each. And that was an outstanding program that we did for the kids in the summer, along with the aquatics program. As you are aware, the Eagle Soccer is actually run by our volunteers and some of our staff members, but they also provide a lot of sport activity for our youth, and they have one girls team that travel all over the area in the surrounding cities. We have boys all the way from 10 years old to 16, and we have one team that is 16 years old it's open. And also, right now, the Eagles are supporting the casino with a league they want to implement for the casino employees on Friday nights. The boxing program has been very successful since it was back, and we had a steady attendance, an average of between 25 and 35 youth. And as you know, we had an exhibition on the 15th of September celebration at Ferguson Elementary, and we have scheduled a boxing show for this coming Sunday, the 4th, and we also had 2 more boxing shows scheduled for the remaining of the year. I have to give credit to the boxing coach, Mr. Manuel Nava. He had done an outstanding program. And as you know, this boxing program also been attracting a lot of young girls. So we still, in the process to hire an assistant for Mr. Nava. In the areas of program and services, as you can see, is the different programs that we have offered, in the Human Services Department. And I like to add, to all this program, the aquatic, which is very important in the summer, along with the summer food service program and the SYP. In the area of senior citizens, I'm also proud to say to you and to our residents that we have one of the best senior programs in the area. And I say it because we get seniors from Norwalk, from Seal Beach, they come to our programs. And in this area, we also have outstanding staff with Ira and Adela, and also we get an outstanding support from the ABC School District. We have our open senior pool for the seniors. And lately, Ira being able to send them to tournaments, and we let them go as long as they don't get in fights.
Well,
So-
one of the things I'd recommend is you don't play them for money.
So the last time they went to a Carson to a tournament, they all had a good time. We also have a sewing class, which is provided, a teacher is provided from the school district. We have a ceramic class that also supported and with a teacher from the school district. In the past, the city used to pay a contract employee to provide this class. Now the school district is helping us out with an outstanding instructor, 25-year experience for the ceramic class. The ballet folklorico, as you can see, these are youth, but Gaby Serrano also is implementing a ballet folklorico for the seniors. And I'm sure you remember for the Thanksgiving luncheon, they performed, and so they do an outstanding job.
I thought they did it so much they gained in their youth.
Facility rentals, this is also another program that was brought back to you with your support. And we provide support to the school district, uses a lot our facilities, as well as our local nonprofit agencies and our residents. One of the areas that we like the most, and I'm sure you enjoy it too, is our special events. And as you can see, this is the list of the remaining special events scheduled for the end of the fiscal year. And as I mentioned it earlier, we already start planning a 4th of July celebration in July. Of course, it's going to be July 4th. Our annual golf tournament, Donald E. Schultz Golf Tournament, and our powwow, we're going to have one in the summer on July 28 and the 29th. As you can see, that's one of the pictures of new bus we're getting.
Just on paper, right?
No, the transportation division is also another group of staff that I had to give him a lot of credit. We have 5 full-time employees, but they do an outstanding job. Only for the month of January, they had transported a total of 1,901 passengers, and they have accumulated a total of 3,619 miles. So these guys are busy. You know, sometimes I get calls, oh, I saw a bus going fast on Civic Center Drive. But sometimes they're running behind, but they're doing an outstanding job. And as you can see, we have the dollar ride, which is exclusively for our seniors. And they go to senior lunch or doctor's appointments. And also we transport disabled youth going to Buena Park, Cypress College, and Rancho Los Amigos. In the recreational transit programs, we support the Orange County Head Start, transporting youth Monday to Thursday. Our youth sports and youth excursion, also for our senior excursions. And that concludes my presentation, like I said, of our Human Services Department. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer any of them.
Mayor and Council, also, before I forget, a very important element as to what programs are being provided and meeting the needs of the community when it comes to the Human Services Department is the, needless to say, the Recreation Commission and its members, hardworking individuals that volunteer their time, their own personal time, and that's always a great asset to any community. I didn't mean to, in case anybody had any questions of Irving in regards to, especially with that new bus.
Irving,
Yes, ma'am.
what was the date you gave for the golf tournament?
The date
July 4th.
is July 6th.
Oh,
It's
6.
a Friday.
I wrote 4th.
Yeah, you said
That-
4th.
July 4th is the Independence Day celebration.
Oh, yeah, well, I knew that, but I couldn't see how we
It's
could do
July
both.
6th.
Okay, thank you.
And as was pointed out there, tomorrow between 10 o'clock and 3 o'clock, we're having the hiring fair. And this was initially implemented due to the fact of the closing of the home base and employees losing their positions. But we also, knowing that we do have a high unemployment rate in our city, we're hoping that a number of our residents also take advantage of this. The employers who are going to be there are not for the purpose of information, but for the purpose of hiring. So we're asking everybody, come sharp, look sharp, and hopefully they'll be employed tomorrow.
I will.
And on Sunday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon is the boxing here at the, not at City Hall. Let's move it down a little bit.
The
Okay.
gymnasium.
So,
gymnasium.
in the gym, thank you. Next, what I want to do is not so much as to what activities per se, but once again, some of the services that are being provided are the best secrets in the area. We have Public Works, and Public Works, we see them running around, we see them doing different things, but we also forget, they're out there doing tree trimming. They're also out there in regards to cleanup, and we've got them tree trimming again, and then also there was a area of in an alleyway where I guess there was a drainage problem, and so that's what they were doing there. They handle the graffiti. I'm sorry to say that we do have had a significant graffiti problem within the last week or so. The sheriff department has been contacted. They believe they've identified one of the main individuals. But what we're doing also is that we're going to be meeting with the commissioner pertaining to this as to how is it that when an individual is responsible for graffiti, that the parent or the parents can be involved in addressing the issue, and not necessarily from a fiscal point of view, because one's not always in that position. So there will be a graffiti program implemented with the sheriff department. As you can see, who is that? Robert out there? Albert? Okay. As far as the maintenance?
Heavy's on the mower?
Yeah.
Tony, if I may, I'd just like to give a special thanks to Public Works. Really, I talked to them, and I know they've been faced with a lot of extra work with the graffiti, but they're doing a great job in taking care of it right away so it doesn't get worse. Because what happens is that when it comes up, if you don't take care of it right away, it gets worse. As you know, there's some cities that just can't catch up. I think that Public Works is doing an excellent job, and really, I have to thank them all, everybody. I mean, from Joe to its staff, that they go out there right away and make sure it gets done so we can have a nicer looking city.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to call on the author of this PowerPoint system, and that's Ernesto. I don't know if he can coordinate both activities.
I hope I can. Well, thank you for being here, and I hope you guys like the presentation. I'm going to be going over the presentations regarding administration. So we'll go to the first one.
That's the
Bear
power
with me.
outage.
That's yeah. You beat me to it.
There's the power. Right?
Yeah.
The energy crisis here in
Yeah.
Hawaiian Garden.
Okay, the first one I'll be discussing is the Computer Drop-In Center. Got good news for you guys. Project completion date is February 1st. We just met with district officials, staff over there. We're currently coordinating a schedule to provide residents computer classes at no fee, 6 days a week, with drop-in hours for our residents from 3 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. Another program we have that we're going to initialize probably in a couple weeks is the Healthy Families Program. We received a $30,000 state grant to provide a Healthy Families Program to Hawaiian Garden residents.
This is insurance, right?
Yes, this is the insurance program.
This
So
is
we'll be
good.
going door to door and promoting the Healthy Families Program.
As a byproduct of that, though, we also we're in hopes that the individual that's going to be going door to door, that maybe if there are other issues or other concerns from a health point of view, if it's brought to their attention and brought to our attention, then we want to seek additional monies in order to address those items.
Just for your information, I have included in the budget a couple health fairs and screenings of such time, different types of screenings, so that's included in there. One of the other grant programs, or a grant that we received, was the Helen Rosas ADA grant. The Helen Rosas facility is about 85% ADA, it does accessible, it does meet the requirements. The only things pending are, of course, the door project that Mr. Colombo is working on, and I believe there's a couple drinking faucets that need to be, or water faucets that need to be addressed also. This year, the city also acquired a computer drop-in center facilities grant, $200,000 state grant for construction of a computer drop-in center, and we're gonna try and work that in with the City Hall expansion, the Phase 2 project, and somehow coordinate it with that project. Clarkdale Park Facilities Grant. That's another grant we received this year in the amount of $200,000 for the refurbishment and expansion of Clarkdale Park, and that's another project that Mr. Colombo and I will be working on. Like he stated earlier, we're going to create a master plan and go from there. Playground project. We're currently going to be replacing the equipment and doing some minor constructions at 3 parks listed above or here. One is the Helen Rosas, the other one is Leeware, and the third is Pioneer Park. We do have some pictures there if you guys would like to see them. Show them there.
Oh, yeah, Joe will be passing those around. It's okay. They have these here. Thank you.
Another grant we acquired this year from the state to the Department of Parks and Recreation is a $35,000 grant for the purchase of gym equipment. Project status, we are currently in the drawdown status of the monies, and project completion date is May 2001. Local law enforcement block grant is another grant we applied for and we were awarded. We're also in the process of drawdown, and City Council authorized staff to go ahead and pursue these funds. We were awarded, and they're going to be used to purchase a vehicle for public safety support, and it will also be used for overtime and miscellaneous expenses. Another grant is a law enforcement technology grant, $105,000 grant, and basically what we're doing with this, we're bringing our sheriffs here who work in our city up to par with the technology. We purchased new computers for them. There's a scanner. We're going to get them connected to the internet, and they'll also be on the same system as the sheriff's department. They're going to be linked together, so they don't have to go to the station to do reports and all that. They'll be able to access it here. These funds also will be beneficial to add any other equipment that we need that may involve the public safety of the city.
Like a decimeter or something.
This is a good one. This project here is the audiovisual project. We all know we got new microphones. There's a new mixer, And although we're still trying to hammer out some minor details that do come up, for the most part, it's been good, and they're working fairly well. Our new phone system. I guess you want to say?
Yes. What's happening here, tomorrow, it is the intention of Pac Bell to switch over the telephones. I know that today there were some challenges in calling in, and Pac Bell is in the process of switching all the new system over. This includes also the T1 in regards to the internet. Basically, staff will have a faster capabilities when it comes to the internet. But so tomorrow, if you do come across a challenge, you'll probably get a recording. The first unit they're going to switch over is the front office or reception area, and they'll be going phone by phone afterwards. But once again, they are shooting for tomorrow.
Okay, another project that we have ongoing is internal network of computers. I don't know if you guys seen lately, there's been several staff, or there's a subcontractor here working, running wires all over the place. Our computers, internal computers, will all be networked. We will be on a server, which will assist us in accessing the internet and sharing information via the computer. Another thing that's happened is our new cable TV broadcasting system. We just recently received it. It's there, and we're trying to learn how to be more creative, and we've been getting a lot of comments, and it's working out very well.
Ernest, I was wondering if you could, quite a bit of that also was donated, or
Okay, part of these racks that this equipment is set up on, they were all donated by the contractor, our contractor who actually installed all the equipment. He's no longer here, he just stepped out. His name's Scott, and he is actually a consultant. He does electronic consulting. He was in the business for 25 years, and he just happens to be our locksmith for our city. So whenever we have any problems, we call Scott. And he's here. But we will be able to go out on the field, film any special events, do editing, and then, program the events. Next project is the web page. Our current website location is at www.gatewaycog.org. Staff, Tony, has been working very hard to try and secure our own domain, which is at hawaiiangardens.gov. So we're hoping within the next month that we will make that transition, and our website will eventually be www.hawaiiangardens.gov, and our emails will be the first letter of the first name along with the last name at hawaiiangardens.gov.
Is that in case the telephone system doesn't work? Or? We just want people to be able to get through, that's all.
Yeah, another
I don't
project.
care about your damn computer getting on the internet. I just want somebody to be on the other line,
Another project, and I think Tony can elaborate more on this, is the daycare center.
As we all know, the Mexican American Opportunity Foundation was awarded over $1 million for the purpose of conducting a child daycare center to service the youth in the city of Hawaiian Gardens. The formal lease agreement will be coming up in February before you all, and this is the just a schematic in regards to the site itself. It'll be on Norwalk Boulevard. The total number of children they plan to serve once completed and everything finalized will be about 144 children, I believe. So we're looking forward to that because it's going to benefit a number of people, especially those who are seeking jobs or are having problems in regards to getting child daycare. Once again, child daycare as like this, regulated by the state. assures a safety element, assures an educational element, and assures a well-balanced meals.
Another major project we're working on is a procurement policy manual. And we hope to have that complete by March 15th, 2001.
The objective by having this type of policy presented to you all for your formal approval will be able to cut costs and have an ongoing going out to bid, or just reevaluating, are we getting the best price for our dollar? In regards to public safety, okay, Steve's not, okay. Mr. Peguero stepped out. He's the one that oversees this. He's been working with the county sheriff department. He intends to set up a volunteer on patrol program, which will be going throughout the city to serve as the ears and the eyes, not to make any arrests, but only so people can be assured that if something's happening, hopefully they'll come across it, they'll report it to the sheriff department. This is going to take volunteers, so there will be a significant recruiting program. Civilian volunteer programs, we're always in need of volunteers. The parking enforcement detail, well, this comes in light also with the, we have our, what is it, Thursday mornings, yes, with street sweeping and so forth. The crossing guards, we're trying to establish where if somebody's who's hired as a crossing guard, if somebody gets ill, because we're all subject to illnesses, that we're going to have a number of individuals available, so thereby assuring that the safety of the children will always be there in regards to the proper number of crossing guards. We're also looking into a diversity relations program. Years ago, I'm sure we all recall, there was a, how should I say, there were accusations that this group, this ethnic group was versus another ethnic group and so forth. So we're looking into establishing, and Mr. Peguero will be in charge of this, a diversity program that will be composed of various ethnic groups on there. The other item is Neighborhood Watch. We're going to try Neighborhood Watch again. I understand years ago it was tried here, and for whatever reason, it was hard to implement. In light of Neighborhood Watch, we're also going to, we're looking at doing a Business Watch. So what we're doing, we've already met with the lieutenant from the Sheriff Department. We're hoping that we're going to be inviting various businesses here in the council chambers. It'll be televised, and there'll be a program done by the Sheriff Department representatives in regards to businesses, and then also eventually will be done in regards to the residents. I believe this is to represent the overlapping vehicle. There's been a request by our mayor as to what is it we can do in regards to additional patrolling. So that's being worked on, and we're looking in the, I would say, within the very near future, implementing an additional vehicle to be out there patrolling. Our, and this is a crossing guard. Okay. Okay. I thought they had something on top of their head. But anyway, and once again, Mr. Peguero is involved with and oversees these projects. Needless to say, you now have had a small presentation in regards to the city projects, and as Mr. Kavanaugh stated earlier, it's the success of all these projects have been because of your policy and your direction. And on behalf of the staff and myself, we want to thank you, the mayor and the council, for your leadership and assuring that this city is being served in a proper manner. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you, to all your staff, you and your staff, Tony and Kavanaugh, for the well-done presentation.
This is the first time it's been so large, too, the presentations. It was very nice.
Thank you for saying large.
Very good.
No, I didn't mean long. I meant large.
Okay.
And I believe I jumped the gun earlier, and I need to apologize because I got started on these projects without, I believe there was a formal action that needed to take place in regards to finance. And so, on the changes that, and the recommendations made by Michael Blazinski, at this time, we're asking for a formal
I make a
approval.
motion.
Okay.
Second.
We got a motion in 4 seconds. Any further discussion on this issue?
I think it was pretty
Reckon not.
complete.
Okay,
It's good.
let me have a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Alvarez?
Yes.
Councilmember Cabrera?
Yes.
Councilmember Schultz?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Frida?
Yes.
Mayor Chang?
Yes. Okay, now the item on rehab reso 09-2001/A. I guess we're gonna do that. Yes, sir. All right, let's hear the dog and pony on that one.
Yes, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, the State Department of Housing and Community Development Department has notified staff that a notice of funding availability is available for statewide of $35 million. Staff is proposing that we apply for a $500,000 grant for rehabbing single-family owner-occupied dwelling units that had code deficiencies, particularly related to garage conversions. Rather than just going out there and citing them and writing violation notices, and we know we have a very tough problem out there with garage conversions. We are proposing another alternative to for the homeowner to apply for a grant up to $25,000 to add a bedroom, if feasible, to eliminate the garage conversion and put the garage back to its original approved use. This is actually not a grant. I'm sorry.
They have to qualify.
They would still have to qualify, and of
Owner?
course, the owner has to qualify. Yeah, these are only for owner-occupied single-family dwelling units, similar to the program we have right now. The guidelines will be identical. The process will be identical.
What's the difference?
Hardly, there is no
There's no
difference.
difference?
It's just additional funds that's being made available from the state, and we're trying to tap into those resources to make these resources available to the residents in this community. If we do get this grant awarded to us, then we may have additional manpower to implement this program through Wildan, who does part of the code enforcement right now.
Is there an income level?
We will be using the same income limits that are published by the state, yes.
You can't make $50,000 and get your grant and convert your garage.
Right,
Okay.
there are some people out there making money off the garage conversions. The submittal of the application is February 8th, is when this needs to be submitted to the state.
So we haven't really got it yet, huh?
No, this is a request to submit an application to the state. There will be this is a competitive process. There will be other cities that will be competing against us, and again, it's just one of those resources that we want to tap into and make available to the community. Just for point of reference, and the guidelines are very similar to the ones that we have for CDBG, but the program is not available to any participants or anybody that has any decision-making authority related to the rehab program, such as staff or council members or any relatives of any elected officials.
Yeah, the usual things, right?
Right, it's standard, and staff is recommending approval of resolution number 09-2001.
Second.
Yeah, motion is second. Any further discussion? Section 3, like I said, in the public interest.
Read it, I forgot my glasses.
In the public interest, employees and officials, consultants with the City of Hawaiian Gardens or Redevelopment Agency, and any relatives of such individuals who exercise any decision-making function or responsibility in connection with the administration of the housing rehab program shall not be eligible for assistance under the program.
That's good.
Okay?
Mhm.
So,
I'll make the motion.
I think that's pretty cool.
Okay.
Um, Any other discussion? cool with that game? Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Magnanimous.
Boy, we're
Okay.
little cities on a tear, aren't we?
Yeah, we're going to town here, gang.
Mayor and Council, just as a reminder, because of the hiring fair that's taking place tomorrow between 10 and 3, there is a need for additional parking area, so we are allowing parking on part of Civic Center only for during that time. So we'll be covering those and ensuring that nobody's going to be sighted right there. So if you see cars parked on Civic Center, it's because of the tremendous participation that we foresee. Thank you all.
We've had a good turnout before when you had that.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
You want a second? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? See you later, gang.
Leonard, I'm sorry, Mayor, don't forget that we have refreshments and cookies out there for
We
everybody.
got refreshments and cookies out there?
For your request, yes,
Oh,
sir.
man.
We just found out about it.
Carnitas, tacos,
Not in
frijoles,
your pay.
guacamole con arroz, tacos de tripa. Hey, we did it, gang. I don't know how we did it, but we